The story opens with a guy named K. Juan, a struggling street painter who actually has incredible talent, but zero luck. While he is quietly working, a famous painter called Lai Shi shows up, casually throws some money at him, and tells him that one of his paintings has been sold for 1,000 yuan. Very generous, right? Not really. From that money, Lai Shi only gives K. Juan 500 and happily keeps the rest for himself. To make it worse, the woman standing proudly next to Lai Shi is Sha, K. Juan's ex. Lai Shi brings her on purpose just to show off how right her decision was to dump a poor painter. In his mind, if she had stayed with K. Juan, she would still be stuck in a hard life, riding around in his beat-up old car instead of standing next to a rich and famous artist. So K. Juan's daily life is pretty tragic and pretty funny at the same time. He is broke, recently dumped, underpaid for his own art, and when he goes home, the landlord is already waiting at the door, demanding rent. But everything was about to change. This is King of Painting. Later, K. Juan meets A Wei, a gallery owner, and uses the little money he has left to join a painting exhibition. Instead of encouragement, A Wei tells him his paintings are terrible, especially when compared to the ultra-realistic works of the great master, Lai Shi. The joke, of course, is that those masterpieces are actually K. Juan's own paintings that Lai Shi bought and claimed as his. But K. Juan does not want to hear it. The truth is too painful and way too confusing. The only person who truly admires K. Juan's art is a woman named Xiaoying, a beautiful worker at a hair salon. She somehow feels that his paintings are special. The strange part is this: Xiaoying is blind. So how in the world does a blind woman know his paintings are good? That is the first hint that something a bit magical, or at least very weird, is going on. Because of her condition, Xiaoying often becomes the target of creepy guys who like to harass her. One day, two disgusting men start messing with her. Just when things get bad, K. Juan jumps in like a budget superhero. Since he cannot really fight, he decides to get revenge in the dumbest way possible, by grabbing the butts of the two harassers. The men are furious, of course, and they beat him up. So much for heroic rescue. Over time, Xiaoying quietly falls in love with K. Juan. One night, the two of them are alone together. The mood is finally right, and Xiaoying leans in to kiss him. At that exact moment, K. Juan's friend Meng Fa is actually nearby. Even though Xiaoying cannot see, she somehow senses there is another person in the room, gets shy, and the almost kiss mission fails instantly. Later, K. Juan and Meng Fa relax together over drinks. Meng Fa is obsessed with the idea of having a stunning girlfriend, the kind of girl who looks like a top idol. To chase that dream, he keeps buying lottery tickets by the handful, hoping one big win will turn him into a rich prince overnight. They drink until they are exhausted, and just when things should fade to black, something very strange happens. In the middle of the night, as Meng Fa sleeps like a rock, K. Juan wakes up and notices a spaceship gliding across the sky. It is not a plane, it is a full-on UFO. Curious and half-drunk, he tries to wake Meng Fa, but his friend does not respond at all. The ship shines a bright light, and three bizarre-looking aliens slowly descend from it. K. Juan, who is both terrified and thrilled, cannot resist. He sneaks closer and pulls out his phone to record this once-in-a-lifetime moment. Unfortunately, the light from his phone ruins everything. The aliens spot it, get spooked, and immediately retreat to their ship, but not before dropping a small, strange rod on the ground. The ship vanishes, the night turns quiet again, and K. Juan is left holding this mysterious alien stick, completely confused but very, very curious. The next morning, he rushes to tell Meng Fa everything he saw. Meng Fa listens, half believing, half laughing, and casually asks if the aliens had eggplant-shaped heads. That question shocks K. Juan. How would Meng Fa know that? It turns out the aliens look exactly like the creatures Meng Fa had been painting before. The two start to think it was all just a weird dream, especially since they were really drunk the night before. But there is one little problem. If it was just a dream, why is that alien rod still sitting very clearly on the table? One day, while painting a portrait of a beautiful girl, K. Juan's pencil suddenly snaps. He searches for another one, and without thinking, grabs the alien rod from the night before. The moment he draws a simple rock, a real rock suddenly appears behind the paper. At first he thinks he is hallucinating, but curiosity wins. He draws an apple next, and to his shock, the apple becomes real too. Naturally, the only way to test it is to eat it, and yes, it tastes completely normal. At this point, confusion turns into panic mixed with excitement. Kei-Huan rushes home to wake Meng-Fa and asks him to kick him, just to prove this is not a dream. The pain confirms it. The alien pencil is real and anything drawn with it can become reality. Meng-Fa does not believe him and assumes Kei-Huan's brain took too much damage when he got punched earlier. So Kei-Huan tries to prove it again, this time by drawing a gold bar. Nothing happens at first and Meng-Fa laughs at him. Annoyed, Meng-Fa rips the drawing and throws the paper aside. The ripped paper accidentally hits a random man nearby and suddenly transforms into an actual gold bar right in his hand. The man freezes, confused, then quietly walks away like he just won the world's weirdest lottery. Now both of them believe it. And of course, the very first thing they do is abuse it to the fullest. They draw an even bigger gold bar and it appears, weighing something ridiculous like 10,000 grams. At this point, greed officially takes over. Not satisfied, they decide to go bigger, literally. They draw their dream house, a huge, luxurious mansion. And just like before, the mansion appears, except this time in the middle of a crowded street. People panic, the police show up, and Kei-Huan and Meng-Fa immediately regret everything. Thinking fast, they try to erase it. They do not have an eraser, so Kei-Huan presses a random button on the alien pencil. The button activates a suction effect that removes the pencil marks from the drawing, and just like magic, the entire mansion disappears. After that chaos, they rethink their strategy. Houses are too risky, so Meng-Fa suggests drawing money instead, because money is smaller and easier to hide. Kei-Huan draws a bill worth 200 yuan, but only the numbers appear. That is when he realizes he needs to draw the shape correctly. So he draws a stack worth 200 million yuan. Suddenly, money spills out everywhere. Not just some money, but so much that their whole house gets buried in cash. And just like that, the two broke losers become insanely rich overnight. Their lives transform instantly. They now have elegant maids, vintage cars, and more luxury items than they know what to do with. They even pay their neighbors rent for the next 100 years just because they can. Meanwhile, Lai Shi and Xia are shopping for a house priced at 10 million yuan. Lai Shi tries to bargain for half the price, but the agent refuses. Just then, Kei-Huan and Meng-Fa walk in. Lai Shi mocks them, assuming they are there to window shop or sweep the floor. But that confidence disappears the moment he hears Kei-Huan and Meng-Fa say they want to buy the house in full cash. After buying their massive luxury home, life feels perfect. That night, Kei-Huan decides it is finally time to propose to Xiaoying. He is ready, nervous, and hopeful. But things do not go as planned. Xiaoying turns down the proposal. She still feels she is not worthy of someone wealthy because of her blindness. Kei-Huan tries to reassure her. He explains that he is not truly rich. Everything he has came from that alien pencil he randomly found. Xiaoying is not surprised. She already suspected something strange, especially after witnessing an actual UFO fly above him. Instead of a proposal, she makes a request. If the pencil can create anything, she wants something simple. She wants her vision. So Kei-Huan gives it a try. He draws two perfect eyeballs. The problem is, the eyes do not magically go into Xiaoying's head. Instead, they stick themselves onto Meng-Fa's shoulder like some strange decorative sticker. Xiaoying is not amused and walks away feeling tricked. Meng-Fa quickly chases after her and insists she does not need to work anymore, since she is now practically with a billionaire. He tells her to be patient while they figure out a better method. Then he suggests something bold. Instead of drawing just the eyes, Kei-Huan should draw Xiaoying's entire body again, but this time with normal eyesight. Kei-Huan hesitates. What if it creates two Xiaoyings? Meng-Fa thinks that sounds amazing and encourages it anyway. So Kei-Huan goes for it. Hours later, Meng-Fa wakes up from a long nap and sees the finished painting. It is stunning. And then something unbelievable happens. The real Xiaoying disappears, and in her place appears a new Xiaoying who can finally see. While they celebrate, something else is happening outside their bubble. A famous actress suddenly goes blind out of nowhere. Banks report missing cash. Expensive villas vanish and reappear somewhere else. The police begin to piece things together and realize every missing object matches the items that suddenly appeared around Kei-Huan and Meng-Fa. Meanwhile, the group is having the time of their lives. They travel, ride hot air balloons, and set off huge fireworks just because they can. Xiaoying enjoys every moment. For the first time in her life, she can see the beauty and chaos of the world. Soon, Kei Huan plans a real art exhibition. He goes back to Awei's gallery to rent the space. At first, Awei treats them exactly the same as before, like broke nobodies wasting his time, until they mention they are willing to pay 5 million yuan. The second that number comes out, Awei changes completely and suddenly treats them like VIP royalty. Meanwhile, Lai Shi is losing his mind. He spots a massive billboard advertising Kei Huan's upcoming art exhibition. The last time he saw Kei Huan, the guy could barely afford noodles, and now he has money to splash on giant promotional signs. None of it makes sense, and the confusion starts eating him alive. Jealousy turns into suspicion, and soon into full paranoia. He argues with Sha because she cannot explain it either. Finally, Lai Shi contacts Captain Zheng Bing, the officer investigating all the mysterious disappearances across the city. He reports that two broke nobodies have suddenly become unbelievably rich out of nowhere. To Lai Shi, that is the biggest crime ever because he cannot stand watching someone he once mocked become successful overnight. Soon, the day of the exhibition arrives. People swarm in, the lights are brilliant, and Kei Huan is suddenly treated like a celebrity. He shakes hands, signs autographs, and stands proudly beside his paintings. But something feels off. Awei keeps assuring him the visitors love the artwork, but Kei Huan is not convinced. After pushing a little, he realizes the truth. Awei secretly paid people to compliment the paintings so the event would look successful. What Kei Huan does not notice yet is that the police are also there. Captain Zheng Bing quietly observes everything from the crowd, waiting for the right moment. Things escalate during the auction. Kei Huan spots the captain talking to security, and he asks Awei who those men are. Awei approaches them to ask for their invitations, and that is when the officers reveal their badges. Kei Huan and Meng Fa are immediately questioned. The officers want to know how they went from broke to insanely rich overnight. The two friends stare at each other, confused because in their minds they did not steal anything. They just drew things. The captain begins listing evidence. 200 million yuan vanished from a bank. The serial numbers match the money they own. A rare vintage car disappeared from the road and now sits in their mansion garage. Everything that has gone missing in the city has somehow reappeared in their possession. The realization finally hits them. Nothing they made was actually created. Everything was taken from somewhere else. Cornered and overwhelmed, Kei Huan admits the truth. He explains he has a strange power. To prove it, Meng Fa tells the captain to name something he wants. The captain jokingly mentions a brand new red Ferrari, and within seconds a shiny Ferrari appears right in front of them. Now the police have no legal way to charge them. There is no proof they physically stole anything. Technically, everything fell from the sky. Not long after the red Ferrari incident, Captain Zheng Bing receives a new report. A Ferrari has just been reported missing, and when he checks the details, it matches the exact car sitting in front of him. At this point, there is no denying something supernatural is happening. The captain continues his investigation, but there is a problem. There are no laws for crimes involving magic pencils or alien technology. Without proof of physical theft, he cannot do much. So for now, all he can do is watch. Inside the house, Kei Huan and Meng Fa sit together, still convinced they have done nothing wrong. In their minds, they did not steal anything. They just drew pictures. That is when Sha suddenly shows up at the door. She breaks down and apologizes to Kei Huan. She regrets leaving him and even more regrets choosing Lai Shi, who has now physically hurt her. What she does not know is that Lai Shi secretly placed a camera inside her necklace. The moment Sha walked into the house, Lai Shi was watching everything. Later that night, Kei Huan gets drunk and without thinking, shows Sha the alien pencil. Every second is recorded and immediately seen by Lai Shi. The next morning, Kei Huan wakes up and makes a big decision. He wants to give the pencil to the police and end everything. Being rich is meaningless if every day feels dangerous and stressful. A simple life with peace sounds much better. Rong Jun overhears the plan. Meng Fa panics because he is terrified she will leave him if the money disappears. But she surprises him. She admits she never loved him for the wealth. She liked him because he was handsome. It is probably the most chaotic compliment he has ever received, but it works. Everyone gathers and opens the safe to retrieve the pencil. But the safe is empty. The pencil is gone. That same night, Lai Shi finally reveals himself as the thief, and he wastes no time. He now owns a helicopter and uses it like a portable drawing platform. While flying, he draws a random building, and instantly a massive structure appears out of nowhere. One drawing after another, he loses control completely. Then he goes even bigger. He draws a giant royal palace, complete with towers and decorations. Suddenly, the sky fills with a full fantasy castle. Meanwhile, Shah is tied up inside because Lai Shi no longer sees her as a suitable queen. He wants someone more beautiful. So he takes out a picture of a Miss China pageant contestant and draws her instead. Somewhere across the country, in the middle of the pageant, Miss China vanishes into thin air and suddenly appears in front of Lai Shi, inside the palace he created. She stands there shocked and confused, convinced she must be dreaming. Eventually, Ke Huan and Captain Zheng Bing track Lai Shi down. They find him inside the massive palace he created, which turns out to be sitting right in the middle of an airport runway. Planes cannot land, traffic is blocked, and the entire country is probably wondering who built a medieval castle in the middle of aviation space. Ke Huan warns Lai Shi that everything drawn with the alien pencil is not newly created. It is taken from somewhere else. Every building, every expensive item, every piece of wealth has been stolen from real people. But Lai Shi does not care. He is too excited by his new powers and decides he wants to draw even more money. Before he can finish, Captain Zheng Bing steps forward and threatens to shoot if he tries again. Lai Shi freezes, thinks for a moment, then comes up with the most ridiculous escape plan possible. He decides he will draw a spaceship so he can escape to the planet Pandora. While sketching, he looks at a picture he found online. What he does not know is that the ship in the picture is the alien ship belonging to the original owners of the pencil. Somewhere in deep space, the alien craft suddenly vanishes and reappears right in front of him. The aliens step out, and they look far scarier up close than they did from the sky. They immediately demand to know where the pencil is. Ke Huan points directly at Lai Shi, who refuses to surrender and quickly draws a military tank. He prepares to fire at the aliens, fully convinced he is now unstoppable. He learns very quickly that alien technology beats doodle weapons. The aliens overpower him and his assistants with no effort at all. Defeated and terrified, Lai Shi finally hands over the pencil. The aliens prepare to eliminate him for abusing it. Ke Huan steps forward and begs them to spare his life. He takes responsibility, admitting he was the one who first picked up the pencil and accidentally started everything. The alien leader listens and explains that Earth is no different from their world. Power leads to greed, chaos, corruption, and even justice can disappear when people chase wealth without limits. Before leaving, Ke Huan asks them to undo everything. The palace, the missing Miss China, the buildings, the money, and all the chaos created. The aliens agree. One by one, everything disappears and returns to its original place, like none of it ever happened. Then the alien turns to Xiaoying. Since her restored vision also came from the pencil, he takes it back. Her sight fades and she becomes blind again, returning to the way she was before this strange adventure began. The aliens promise never to interfere with Earth again, but as they leave, their ship suddenly vanishes too, leaving them confused and stranded. And just like that, life returns to normal. The chaos ends, the magic is gone, and the world goes back to ordinary reality. So the moral of the story is if you ever find a magic alien pencil, maybe don't use it to build palaces, buy 20 maids, and steal a Ferrari unless you want aliens, cops, and your angry ex showing up.